Hey everyone, welcome back to another Off the Post opinion piece. It's just me, Jake, recording this video for you. Today I'm going to be focused on the lack of female coaches at the highest level of U.S. soccer and NWSL. This topic was brought to my attention after the Western New York Flash hired Paul Riley as their new head coach, which meant that we finally have all NWSL teams with a head coach for the new season. This offseason's been a bit of a coaching carousel. Started with Paul Riley getting fired by the Portland Thorns, who was then replaced by Washington Spirit manager Mark Parsons, who was then replaced by Sky Blues Jim Gabarra. Sky Blue promoted from within with an assistant, Christy Holly. Boston brought in a new manager and Matt Beard, who's been coaching out at Liverpool Ladies past couple of years, won a couple of titles in the FAWSL. And Orlando expansion team has brought in Tom Sermani to lead them in their inaugural season, and he is familiar to U.S. fans because he was the former U.S. women's national team coach. And Paul Riley kind of finishes off the carousel by finding a new home over in Western New York Flash. So first thing that you'll notice when you look at the list of head coaches is that there's only one woman in charge of an NWSL club, and that's Laura Harvey out at Seattle Reign. I kind of find it odd that, with the league entering its fourth season, it's surprising that there's only been 4 women total who have had a head coaching position in the league. Obviously, Laura Harvey out at Seattle. Cindy Parlow-Cone, she led the Portland Thorns to the inaugural title in 2013. And then the Boston Breakers had actually 2 female coaches their first season, Lisa Cole, but she was let go halfway through the season and replaced by Kat Whitehill as a player manager for the remainder of the season. So I thought it was kind of odd that in a country that has won 3 Women's World Cups and numerous Olympics, that we haven't found a way to cultivate an environment where the elite players from those teams move up the pipeline and become head coaches. In fact, I went back through all the squads from the 1991 Women's World Cup all the way through 2011, looking to see where those players are after they retired. And actually only 12 of the 60 have gone on to find a head coaching position. And that's at the collegiate level and at the NWSL level. Actually, only one who's made it to NWSL is Cindy Parlow-Cone, and the rest are all at the collegiate level. And of those 12, only 9 are actually active as a head coach right now. Additionally, 7 more have gone on to become assistant coaches at the collegiate level. So combined total of assistant coaches and head coaches of 19 out of that 60. So still not quite even a third of all those players have gone on to continue a coaching career after they've retired. Now, if you look at the men's side of it, from 1990 to 2010, we've had 61 members of those teams retire, and 41 have gone on to coach at the higher levels, or they've become technical directors. Some have become international managers. Most have found spots as head coaches or assistant coaches at the MLS, NASL, USL, and other professional leagues around America. And I'm going to try to link my spreadsheets with my findings somewhere in the description, so look out for that. So one thing that I thought might help women find a way into the coaching field would be to institute a rule similar to the Rooney Rule in the NFL. For those of you who don't know, the NFL requires that their teams interview at least one minority candidate for all their open positions. Now, instead of minority candidates, maybe the NWSL could stipulate that at least one female candidate must be interviewed for all their head coaches' positions. I think this is kind of a necessary step at this point, given the lack of numbers of women who are coaching. And we're actually seeing some higher turnover here recently with players retiring who have been members of all 3 WSA, WPS, and NWSL. And they've really had the experience of going to World Cups and Olympics and we're losing them completely from the game. The likes of Amy Lopelbet, Stephanie Cox, Shannon Box. These players would be great to help cultivate the next generation of female athletes in the NWSL. And I think they should be really given a shot to continue their careers within these NWSL clubs. It's actually funny in MLS. There was a similar period in the early days where there was this continuous coaching carousel. I specifically remember Thomas Rongen. He kind of burned through multiple teams in the early days. He was in Tampa Bay, then he was in DC, then he was in New England, then he was out in Chivas USA even. So, it wasn't like like they were really promoting from within. They were rotating all around the league like we see in the NWSL this offseason. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that the MLS teams really saw the value of promoting from within. Real Salt Lake, they brought in Jason Kreis. Ben Olsen in DC was a franchise player, and Jay Heaps as well up in New England. These players had been with these teams for many, many years, and their organization saw their value as tactical thinkers and high soccer IQs, and really wanted to cultivate them into elite head coaches in MLS. So maybe given more time within the league, they'll be willing to take those steps. But I think we need to provide a better structure for them. A little bit of a side note. It's kind of interesting with the coaches that it's kind of a British invasion right now. We're up to 5 coaches from Great Britain, with Harvey, Paul Riley, Mark Parsons, and Matt Beard. They're all English. Tom Sermani is from Scotland, and another Sky Blues, Christy Holly, is from Ireland. So right there's 6 of the 10 teams are now coached by someone from the British Isles. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I can understand, the draw into hiring a foreign manager. They've been brought up in the competitive environment of Europe. A place like the FAWSL is a rising league, but still only the 4th ranked team or league in Europe, behind the likes of Sweden, France, and Germany. I don't understand why we automatically look to the FAWSL when we could be looking at the Frauen Bundesliga. That seems to be the place where the top coaching talent is being nurtured. And I also think there might be an opportunity for other international talent that has entered the earlier leagues like the WSA and the WPS to give them an opportunity to have their first coaching experience. Someone like Sawa from Japan, she played for the Atlanta Beat back in the WSA, or a Marin Minert, who played for Boston Breakers back in the WSA days as well. She's actually now the current under-20 manager for the German national team. Someone like that has already got coaching experience, and they know what it's like to live in America, and why aren't we looking to bring them in? Ariana Hinks was over here for the World Cup with the Fox Studio gang, and I thought her personality was just a wonderful addition to that broadcast team. And I think if we gave her an opportunity to be a head coach or even an assistant coach, we'd get even more of those great sound bites from her, and she would really pump up the interest in our league. So there's also Brazilian Cici. Some of you might remember her from the Bay Area Cyber Raid. She's still even out in the Bay Area coaching at youth level. I don't know if her ambition is to get to a higher level or not, but I think that a player like that, who has tons of international experience, deserves to be given a look by NWSL teams in the future. Maybe for our women, it's an economic thing that is keeping them from trying to get to the highest level of coaching. Maybe it's easier for them to coach youth camp, organize that at their leisure, than to continually test themselves week in, week out in the NWSL and not get the financial security that youth camp might provide. Maybe NWSL executives aren't focused enough on cultivating our players into tactical thinkers, or they aren't giving them the opportunity to have a coaching career after they retire. Whatever the cause, hopefully these these organizations start to think about that and start to develop a culture where, you know, the players that retire, they keep them within the organizations and bring them up the pipeline. And, you know, I think that it would be great if female American coaches became the world export, like a world export in the world of football. You know, I think no other country has won as many World Cups as us, and yet we don't have any coaches from the U.S. going and trying themselves out in the FAWSL, and there's no one from Bundesliga or wherever. I mean, everything is, you know, it's hard enough to even get them into the NWSL, and, you know, that's in their own backyard. So what do you all think about this? Is the lack of female coaches in the NWSL a worry? Do you think that the female Women World Cup players have a responsibility to enter the coaching field after retiring? I personally think yes, obviously, but we need to provide them a better path to get into the field of coaching. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button in the corner, little red box down there. So thanks for listening to me, and have a good day.